Chers amis,
dear friends, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the trust you've placed in me. As I've always said after elections, I hope that next time the 44 people who didn't feel that they could vote for me today will be satisfied with me. So come and see me and tell me what's wrong. Thank you very much for the trust you've placed in me, and I will try not to disappoint you. I won't give the speech that I'd prepared because we are behind schedule and nearly everything has already been said. We still have a meeting with the heads of state and government. They've come here from Brussels after the summit, and we still have a meeting with them this evening. So we'll be starting that in a few minutes. I'd just like to say to my friend Angelina Alfano, how could I forget the name of de Gasperi? It's our meeting room, the name of our meeting room in Brussels. I could never forget it. I'd also like to say to everyone, I mean, I agree, and you will have seen that we all agree on what needs to be said. If you read our program, you'll see that we have a common voice. But I'd just like to remind you of one or two matters that struck me this last week. Justice, fighting organized crime, fighting corruption. What's happening in some of the countries I visited is this. In Romania, in Slovenia, in Bulgaria, it's worrying. Europe has to be able to provide transparent and efficient justice throughout the continent. And I've talked to the Commission. I've talked to our Commissioner, Viviane Reding. And we need a justice six-pack next time around to supervise our justice systems in Europe. Yes, they must be autonomous, but they must incorporate our values and our rights. And for the countries that I cited, we need some level of control at community level, a six-pack for justice. And then another thing, something that was raised this morning. There was a resolution which we weren't able to vote upon. The persecution of Christians throughout the world and in countries at war, acts of violence. We must not be indifferent to them. It is our duty as a Christian Democrat political family to take action to protect them, to protect Christians, and we go further than that in our group in the European Parliament, to protect religions. We cover people of different faiths. So those are 2 points that haven't yet been discussed here, and that's all I wanted to raise, really. Just one last word now about what's happened in the Ukraine. I'd like to express once again my admiration, my emotion. I don't want to forget Georgia either, where the former Prime Minister is the victim of injustice. And I'm thinking of Moldova under Russian pressure. Sri Lanka and his predecessor are giving this country new prospects. And I am sure that very soon, before the next elections, they are going to need our support. And I'd like to reassure you, the EPP is no enemy of Russia. I personally am not an enemy of Russia. Russia and the Russian people, a great country, a great civilization. I appreciate their contribution to European history and culture. But Russian leaders have to understand that times have changed. And we could look again at the letter that was sent to Nicholas II in January 22 to say that autocratic government no longer meets the needs of the Russian people. it could be sent to Putin today. He has to reconsider, become a true Democrat, and then we'll be able to support Russia. And I'd just like to finish with a thought for the party, our party, the party of the Founding Fathers of Europe, a Europe built on peace. We cannot accept violence and a return to autocracy, and that is why, my friends, we need, and I know it was taboo a few years ago, but we need to talk about European defense, not to wage war, but to safeguard peace and help the poor of the world. And I'd like to wish you a very good evening and thank you to those who have stayed here all day long with us here in this room.